children, welcome to Digital Lessons. Hope you are doing well. Happy day to all. Today I would like to start my session with a quote from Karl Marx. Social progress depends on the social position of a female in that society. Hope you got the content what we are going to discuss today. But before going to the session, let's have a glance on the objectives of today's session. Objectives of this session. After watching the session, you will be able to analyze the poem, comprehend the poem, appreciate the poem, and also, my dear children, you know the techniques and figures of speech of the poem. Dear learners, are you habituated to read a newspaper? Then let's see some of the clippings of news reports and then we'll go into the content. Okay? Now observe the news reports here. Have you come across such reports? Just think, focus on the headlines of this. Yes, it is dowry goes girl through hell. Just recollect any such incidents or news reports you read anywhere or did you come across? Think and just recollect what we are going to discuss now. Now, my dear children, observe the images given here and what do they reflect? What does it reflect? Exactly, it is speaking about any social issue. Can you mention it from this picture? Just try to think. That's right, it's a social issue. Yes, it's a domestic violence what we are going to discuss about. And the most important point that we are going to discuss today is about dowry harassment. Yes, even now if you are not able to make it, just watch this conversation. It will make it clear to you. Watch the conversation.
Banu, what happened? Why are you looking disappointed? My elder sister is hospitalized. She is quite sick. Why? What happened? How is she now? Absolutely not. She is on ventilation. Okay. Calm down. Everything will be fine. Actually, what happened? Tell me. Last evening we received a call that she is hospitalized. We rushed hospital. They are saying it's a fire accident. While cooking she caught fire. But I am sure there is something wrong. You mean somebody did that? Absolutely. Her mother-in-law and husband did that. They were never happy with her. They always forced her to get some other things from father in terms of dowry. Really, this dowry is a big monster in a girl's life. We should raise our voice against it. I think it's right time to raise voice. I will fight for my sister. We'll approach women welfare organizations. And let's file a complaint in police station.
So learners, I think you have come to the point. Yes, exactly. Today we are going to discuss about Another Woman, the poem of Unit 3. And at first let us know about the writer and then we'll dig deeper into the topic, that is Another Woman poem. About the poet 𝗬𝗪𝗓 𝗪𝗏. She is a poet, artist and a documentary filmmaker. She was born in Lahore, Punjab, Pakistan. She is awarded many prizes at the national and international level. She has won award, that is Queen's Gold Medal, for her English poetry. She scripts and directs films, many of them for non-government organizations in India, working in the areas of shelter, education and health for women and children. The main themes she focused on her writings are, she brings together several themes and contemporary themes like exile, home, freedom, displacement, communal tensions and gender politics. Her poetry deals with various problems of women, but her focus is on injustice, oppression and violence they are subjected to. Dear learners, open your textbook, look at the page Another Woman poem, read them carefully, share your understanding with your friends. And if a textbook is not with you, look at the screen carefully, read the poem, have a quick reading so that we can get into analyzing the poem. Ready? Let's dig deeper into the poem. We'll read the poem. Another Woman. This morning she bought green methi in the market, choosing the freshest bunch. You can see here on the screen. Picked up a white radish, imagined the crunch it would make between her teeth, the sweet sharp taste. Then put it aside, thinking it an extravagance, counted her coins, out carefully tied them a small bundle into her sari at the waist, came home, faced her mother-in-law's dark looks, took the leaves and chopped them. Her hands stained yellow from the juice, cut an onion fine and cooked the whole thing in the pot over the stove, shielding her face from the heat. So, now let us look at in detail of the poem. Okay children, now look at these lines. Let me read once again for you. This morning she bought green methi in the market, choosing the freshest bunch, and you can see in the picture. Picked up a white radish, imagined the crunch it would make between her teeth, the sweet sharp taste. So, now let us simply analyze this text. What does it mean? She went to the market, she was curious to buy, she is excited to buy a radish which is tasty, but she couldn't. Here the poet reflects on the woman's financial position. And now look at these lines. Then put it aside, thinking it an extravagance, counted her coins out carefully, tied them a small bundle into her sari at the waist. Here our poet is focusing on an Indian lower middle class housewife, how she is not an independent or liberal to spend money. And then came home, facing her mother-in-law's dark looks, took the leaves and chopped them. These lines focus that the lady, ignoring the things, are being calm. She went into the kitchen and got onto her work. So now look at these lines. Her hands stained yellow from the juice, cut an onion fine and cooked the whole thing in the pot over the stove, shielding her face from the heat. Can you make out the sense of these sentences? What does the poet mean here? What is she trying to express? Yes, when she started cooking, when she chopped the methi, it turned her hands yellow and she started on her work. She put on herself, put all her efforts and started to work on, and she cared for the family which ignored her. And here the word shielding her face from the heat. What does she mean by that? What she would like to express here? She would like to say that the woman, middle class housewife, she is trying to shield herself from the words of her mother-in-law and she is trying to serve the one who troubled her. So, there is a metaphorical comparison in this. Now, let us check our comprehension of these lines. What does the woman buy in the market? Can you answer? Yes, that is right, methi. Only methi. Why didn't she buy radish? Why? Yes, she felt it is an excessive spending, so she didn't go for that. What made the woman's hand yellow? Can you imagine? Yes, it's very clear, and even we talked about it. Let's see. She buys methi, chooses the freshest bunch available there, and then she cut the methi that she had bought and chopped them, turning her hands yellow in the process due to the juice. Okay, now, so let's continue with the next part of the poem. The usual words came and bet their wings against her, the money spent. Curses heaped upon her parents, who had sent her out to darken other people's doors. Now, what does this mean? The taunts and jabs of the mother-in-law had become an everyday affair of her life. You can see in the first line, the usual words came and bet their wings against her. In these words says that the words from the mother-in-law hurt her, and see, accused her. For what she was accused? She was accused for spending too much money wastefully on this housewife, that is daughter-in-law. Mother-in-law keeps cursing her parents even, right? Because cursed heaped upon her parents, it's very clear here. And she says that they had sent their daughter to darken the lives of others. It is no wonder then that the birth of a girl is dreaded in an Indian family. It is very clear here. A birth of a girl in India is in such a danger. The woman suffer not only at the hands of her mother-in-law, but also at the hands of her husband. So, do you know how? Let's look the next lines that reflects. So, children, I think you have observed what does it mean here? The mother-in-law's curses has affected the daughter-in-law a lot. So, it's common in our Indian society, not like 100%, at least 60% or 40% we can observe that. And you know, a statistical study shows that 80% of loans are being taken in our India by the poor families just to fill the dowry. And this stanza by our poet proves that dowry is such a case where we can't make or we can't save the girl child in our country, where we can't save the girl child in our country. Okay, children, so when you read the stanza, here you find a word like words shatter wings, right? So, the mother-in-law was cursing daughter-in-law that her parents have sent her to their house to darken their house, and she forgot that she is also a woman who has come as a daughter-in-law to that house. It is really pathetic. This is not only the thing, and it is not only the mother-in-law who was cursing her, even her husband is not yet on her side. Now, let us see that how it has been done by our poet in the upcoming sentences. Let us continue with the poem. She crouches as usual on the floor beside the stove. When the man came home, she did not look into his face nor raise her head, but bend back a little more. Nothing gave her the right to speak. So, and this can be summarized like this. While the mother-in-law keeps abusing her every day, you can see here in the sentences that the husband remains indifferent to her in a state, sad state. The word, when the man came home, she did not look into his face, reflects that she keeps herself away from that man. She can't raise her head and she has to kneel before him, bent. She can't look into his face, and she keeps sitting on her heels with her knees bent close to her body near the stove when her husband enters the house from his work. She doesn't even look at his face or raises her head because she is afraid of it, right? And she has no right. The last statement which is on the screen, you can see nothing gave her right to speak, and the picture itself shows that if she raises her voice, she will be punished. She will be blown by that man. So, she never raised her voice. Now, let us continue with the next line. Okay, now let us check our comprehension at this part of the poem. How is the woman in the poem insulted and humiliated by her in-laws? Just think, imagine and try to answer, discuss with your friends who are here and there with you and put some words. Yes, here is the answer for you. Just look at the sentences and check your answer. I don't want to read it for you. You go through the answer which is on the screen and check your answer whether the thing what you wrote is apt or not. So, is it that what you wrote? The woman's mother-in-law accused her of spending too much. She curses her parents for sending her out to darken the lives of other people. Her husband remains indifferent and shows no sympathy for her. Is this the answer? If it is so, it is absolutely right. Done. Let us continue with the poem. She watched the flame hiss up and beat against the cheap old pot, a wing of brightness against its blackened cheek. This was the house she had been sent to, the man she had been born to, the future she had been born into. So, what does these lines mean? I'll tell you in a brief. Look at the sentences on the screen. Using a highly metaphorical language here, the poet gives an imagination of a woman's terrible tortured state. At the physical level, she is watching. When you can observe in the picture there, the lady is observing the fire, right? Watching the flames of the stove and beating against the cheap old pot. You can see in that picture. The flames of the stove is beating her blackened cheeks. Metaphorically, poet presents that the blackened cheeks is the woman's youth and beauty that has been eaten by her husband, right? And that too with his hatred. And the green methi seems to assign her simmering signs, right? And she is sent to this house and the people feel, mother-in-law and husband feel that she is a burden, right? She was born to that man. The picture reflects that. The second picture reflects that she is born to that man, making that he is the one with whom she has to spend his life, but he didn't take so. So, this reflects the reality of Indian woman. Now, see the next lines. So, when the kerosene was thrown, just a moment of surprise, a brilliant spark. It was only the choice that she had ever known. another torch blazing in the dark, another woman. We shield our faces from the heat. So, this is the heart of our poem. The poet focus on these lines. Here the poet continues with her metaphor of flame rising from the kerosene stove. She says that at once there is a brilliant spark of fire. You can see in the picture even. That spark which is in the stove got onto the woman's body. So, she also, this is what happens to many of. So, also happens with a woman whose heart is already burning with a constant nagging of her in-laws. It is very clear. The fire which has to be in the stove, now it is on that lady's body, and she realizes that her faith could never change, and that was the sentence you can see on the screen, that it was the only choice that she had ever known, and that choice was committing suicide, and she put herself on burning. And the last line, we say we shield our faces from heat. We the people never dare to protect them or utter a word against this ill activities. Hope children you understood the stanza. So, let us check our comprehension to this stanza. The flames hiss up. The flames do not hiss, but the poet used as if flames is human being. This is a literary device called personification. Now, find out other instances of personification in the poem. Hope you can do it easily. Now, shall we check the responses? The pot is personified as having a cheek. Wing of brightness, brightness is personified as having wings. What was the only choice left for her? Can you imagine? Yeah, you can say easily if you have followed the text. Let us see the response. Committing suicide. Discuss the end of the poem, another woman. The poet used repetition figures of speech by the line another woman. The words suggest that the repetitive deaths of women is incurred due to inhuman treatment given to women. So, in this you can see repetitional is a figure of speech used. Metaphor, personification and repetitional techniques are used by our poet in this poem. Now, let us look at the central idea of this poem. It focuses on social issues, a personal story of a victim lady, and it concentrates on inhuman treatment of the society on a woman, and it awaits us, and the purpose of the poem is to raise awareness about the increasing number of bride burning and dowry deaths, and the woman portrayed would be any woman in the poem. So, the life of a married woman of a middle class family is focused here, and through this little incident she liked to project that how we can save a woman. So, children, now we are at the end point of our session. Hope you followed the poem and the woman, and I think you take job of awareing girls, elders around you in your locality about this social issue dowry. And now, what is the basic idea of including this in class 10? See, a girl at the age of 14, 15 should have some knowledge of this social evil, and they should know how we can make our society better and how can we make a woman's position better in this society. As if I quoted at the initial of our session that social progress depends on the progress of a woman of that society, we should focus on the progress of women. That is the basic theme of this poem. And now assignment, write drama script on the poem Another Woman. The script must consist of title, scene or setting, characters, stage directions, dialogue writing, and then it includes plot, which is introduction, conflict, resolution. So, hope you will do this, and it is not a hard task to do that. Remember children, drama script is a major discourse in our final exam. Keeping aside our exams, our assessment, it is a creative skill. Who knows, tomorrow you may be a script writer and you may go for a filmmaker. So, try to do that and present it to your teacher, get it corrected. See you all with a new lesson in next session. Thank you.